The idea of shadow work might seem mysterious or even intimidating at first glance. Yet, it's a practice rooted in self-discovery and profound healing. Have you ever felt an inexplicable resistance within yourself, an emotion, memory, or thought that you've tried to suppress but that keeps surfacing in unexpected ways? This is your shadow trying to reach you. Shadow work is the process of exploring and integrating these hidden aspects of yourself. It's not about dwelling on negativity or amplifying pain. Rather, it's about bringing light to the parts of yourself that have been forgotten, misunderstood, or rejected. By shining a compassionate light on these shadows, you can uncover new depths of self-awareness and unlock a sense of wholeness that may have seemed unattainable before. In our daily lives, many of us wear masks, roles we've adopted to meet societal expectations, gain acceptance, or avoid discomfort. But beneath these masks, there's a deeper self-yearning for recognition. Shadow work allows you to peel back those layers, not to discard them, but to fully embrace who you are at your core. In this video, we'll explore shadow work as a spiritual practice, a path to reconnect with your true essence. You'll learn how to identify the parts of yourself that you've avoided and how to lovingly integrate them into your life. By doing so, you'll not only nurture your spiritual connection but also cultivate inner peace and self-compassion. Are you ready to embark on this transformative journey? Let's dive in and uncover the power of embracing your shadow. To fully grasp the power of shadow work, it's essential to understand what it truly means and how it connects to spirituality. The term shadow was popularized by the Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung, who described it as the unconscious part of the psyche that holds our repressed emotions, desires, and traits. Essentially, the aspects of ourselves we prefer not to acknowledge. But why do we repress these parts? Often, it starts early in life. We learn from family, society, and culture which behaviors are acceptable and which are not. For example, a child might be taught that showing anger is bad. Over time, that child suppresses their anger, storing it in their shadow. As adults, these hidden aspects don't simply disappear. Instead, they influence our thoughts, feelings, and actions in ways we may not fully understand. This is where spirituality comes in. At its core, spirituality is about connection, connecting with yourself, others, and the universe in a harmonious and authentic way. However, it's challenging to achieve this level of connection when parts of yourself remain fragmented or hidden. Shadow work bridges this gap by helping you confront and integrate these suppressed parts, creating a sense of wholeness and alignment with your true self. Think of shadow work as tending to a neglected garden. Each weed you uncover, be it a suppressed emotion, an unresolved memory, or a disowned trait, holds potential for growth and transformation. Instead of pulling out the weeds and discarding them, shadow work encourages you to nurture them, transforming what once seemed undesirable into a source of strength and insight. For example, let's say you've repressed feelings of jealousy. Through shadow work, you might discover that this jealousy stems from a deep desire for self-worth or recognition. By acknowledging and understanding these feelings, you can transform them into motivation for self-improvement and authentic connection with others. The practice of shadow work is deeply intertwined with spirituality because it requires trust, compassion, and a willingness to face discomfort in pursuit of greater truth. It's not about fixing yourself, because you're not broken. Instead, it's about uncovering the layers of conditioning that have kept you from fully embracing who you are. As you begin to integrate your shadow, you may notice profound shifts. Relationships become richer because you're no longer projecting unresolved emotions onto others. Inner conflicts dissolve as you start to accept yourself completely. Most importantly, you feel a renewed sense of peace and alignment, as if a missing piece of your soul has been restored. Shadow work invites you to approach yourself with curiosity rather than judgment. It's an act of self-love to say, every part of me belongs, even the parts I've tried to hide. This practice is not just about self-improvement, it's a spiritual journey toward unity within. Now that we've laid the foundation of what shadow work is and its profound connection to spirituality, let's explore why we tend to ignore our shadows and how this impacts our lives. Despite the transformative potential of shadow work, many people spend their lives avoiding it. But why? To understand this, we need to look at how and why shadows are formed. From a young age, we're taught what is acceptable and unacceptable in our behavior, thoughts, and emotions. Families, schools, and cultural systems often reward traits like obedience, kindness, or productivity, while discouraging expressions of anger, vulnerability, or independence. Over time, we learn to suppress parts of ourselves that don't fit into these molds. These disowned parts don't disappear. Instead, they retreat into the unconscious, forming what we call the shadow. Ignoring our shadow becomes a survival mechanism. The human mind is wired to avoid discomfort, and facing the shadow often means confronting painful memories, guilt, or shame. It's easier to ignore these feelings than to explore them. Yet, in the process, we lose access to parts of ourselves that are vital for our wholeness. Another reason we avoid our shadow is fear. Fear of what we might uncover if we dig too deep. What if our repressed anger reveals unresolved conflicts with loved ones? What if suppressed desires challenge our self-image? These questions are uncomfortable, and the effort required to address them can feel overwhelming. However, ignoring the shadow comes with a price. Suppressed emotions and unresolved issues don't vanish. They manifest in subtle but powerful ways. They can emerge as patterns of self-sabotage, unexplainable anxiety, or conflict in relationships. For example, someone who suppresses their fear of failure might procrastinate excessively, avoiding challenges altogether. The spiritual consequence of avoiding our shadow is a sense of disconnection. When we reject parts of ourselves, we create inner fragmentation. This disconnection often mirrors outwardly, leading to strained relationships, lack of purpose, or a lingering feeling that something is missing. Facing the shadow requires courage, but it's also an act of liberation. By acknowledging what we've hidden, we reclaim our power and begin to see ourselves in a new light. Instead of being controlled by the unconscious, we take ownership of our emotions, actions, and desires. Now that we've explored why we ignore our shadow, let's shift our focus to the rewards of embracing it. What happens when we stop running from ourselves and choose to integrate all that we are? Confronting your shadow is not an easy process, but the rewards are profound and far-reaching. When you embrace the parts of yourself you've hidden or rejected, you unlock a new level of self-awareness, emotional resilience, and spiritual depth. One of the most immediate benefits of shadow work is the cultivation of self-compassion. By acknowledging and accepting your flaws, mistakes, and insecurities, you begin to treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer to a close friend. Instead of harsh self-criticism, you develop a more nurturing internal dialogue, which can lead to greater emotional well-being and a sense of inner peace. Another key benefit is the release of emotional burdens. Suppressed emotions, like anger, guilt, or fear, often act as invisible weights, influencing our decisions and behaviors without our awareness. Shadow work allows you to process these emotions in a safe and constructive way. This not only lightens your mental and emotional load, but also empowers you to respond to challenges with clarity and confidence. Embracing your shadow also strengthens your relationships. Many interpersonal conflicts stem from unresolved issues within ourselves. For example, projecting feelings of inadequacy onto others can lead to misunderstandings or resentment. By doing shadow work, you become more self-aware and less reactive, which helps you build deeper, more authentic connections with those around you. On a spiritual level, integrating your shadow fosters a sense of wholeness and alignment. When you stop fighting against yourself, you can fully connect with your inner being and the world around you. This connection often brings a renewed sense of purpose and clarity, as if you're finally seeing the bigger picture of your life's journey. Imagine, for instance, someone who has always avoided feelings of jealousy because they were taught it was wrong. Through shadow work, they might discover that their jealousy stems from a longing for recognition or appreciation. Instead of feeling ashamed, they can channel this awareness into meaningful actions, such as setting healthier boundaries or pursuing personal growth. The transformation doesn't happen overnight, but with each step, you'll notice positive shifts. You'll feel lighter, more present, and deeply in tune with your true self. Now that we've highlighted the benefits of shadow work, let's dive into the practical steps you can take to begin this transformative journey. Shadow work can feel overwhelming at first, but breaking it down into manageable steps makes the process accessible and empowering. Below are practical techniques to help you begin exploring your shadow with intention and compassion. Step 1. Identify your shadows. The first step in shadow work is recognizing the parts of yourself that you've repressed. These shadows often reveal themselves in subtle ways, such as emotional triggers or recurring patterns in your life. Journaling. Set aside time to write freely about situations that make you feel angry, jealous, or ashamed. Ask yourself, what emotion am I experiencing? What triggered this feeling? When have I felt this way before? Journaling helps bring unconscious feelings into your awareness. Observe your reactions. Pay attention to your emotional responses throughout the day. Moments of intense irritation or discomfort often point to unresolved issues in your shadow. For example, if you feel frustrated when someone is overly confident, it might reflect an insecurity about expressing confidence yourself. Reflect on repeated patterns. Are there situations or relationships in your life that seem to follow the same negative cycle? These patterns can indicate areas where your shadow is influencing your behavior. Step 2. Face your emotions without judgment. Once you've identified a shadow, the next step is to sit with the emotions it brings up. This requires mindfulness and self-compassion. Practice mindfulness. When an uncomfortable emotion arises, resist the urge to suppress it. Instead, observe the feeling as it is, without trying to change or fix it. Focus on your breath and allow the emotion to flow naturally. Acknowledge your inner critic. Your shadow may be accompanied by critical thoughts like, "I shouldn't feel this way." Recognize these judgments as learned patterns and gently remind yourself that all emotions are valid. Visualization exercise. Imagine your shadow as a figure standing before you. This figure might represent an emotion, a memory, or a part of yourself you've avoided. Visualize yourself embracing this figure with love and acceptance, saying, "You are a part of me, and I welcome you." Step 3. Integrate your shadow into daily life. The goal of shadow work is not just to understand your hidden parts, but to integrate them into your sense of self. This means transforming your shadows into sources of strength and insight. Reframe your perception. Look at your shadow traits through a lens of growth. For example, if you've always suppressed your anger, see it as a signal that your boundaries need attention rather than as a negative emotion. Express yourself creatively. Art, music, or writing can be powerful tools for expressing the parts of yourself you've kept hidden. These creative outlets allow you to process emotions in a safe and constructive way. Practice affirmations. Create affirmations that acknowledge and embrace your shadow. For example, "I accept all parts of myself, even those I don't yet fully understand." Repeating these affirmations reinforces self-acceptance over time. Engage in shadow dialogue. Have an internal conversation with your shadow. Ask questions like, "What do you need from me? How can I support you?" Listening to these answers can offer surprising insights and clarity. A practical example. Let's consider a person who struggles with perfectionism, a common shadow trait. Through journaling, they discover that their drive for perfection stems from a fear of being judged as inadequate. By acknowledging this fear and allowing themselves to feel it fully, they realize that their worth isn't tied to external validation. Over time, they reframe their perspective, learning to celebrate progress instead of perfection. Step 4. Seek support when needed. Shadow work can be deeply emotional, and it's okay to seek guidance when you need it. Working with a therapist, spiritual mentor, or trusted friend can provide support and perspective as you navigate challenging emotions. Step 5. Make it a lifelong practice. Shadow work isn't a one-time event, it's an ongoing journey of self-discovery. As you grow and evolve, new aspects of your shadow may emerge, offering fresh opportunities for healing and integration. By following these steps, you can create a deeper connection with yourself and begin to experience the benefits of shadow work firsthand. This practice is both an art and a discipline, requiring patience, courage, and self-compassion. Now that we've outlined the practical steps of shadow work, let's address some common myths and misconceptions that may be holding you back from fully embracing this transformative practice. Despite its transformative potential, shadow work is often misunderstood. These myths and misconceptions can create unnecessary fear or skepticism, preventing people from fully embracing the practice. Let's dispel some of the most common misunderstandings. Myth 1. Shadow work is negative or dark. Many people assume that shadow work focuses solely on unpleasant emotions or memories, making it a dark practice. However, this view is far from the truth. While shadow work involves exploring challenging aspects of yourself, its ultimate goal is integration and healing. By bringing light to these hidden parts, you create a more balanced and authentic self. It's not about dwelling on negativity, it's about uncovering the beauty and wisdom hidden in what you've avoided. Myth 2. Shadow work is only for trauma survivors. Another misconception is that shadow work is only relevant for those who have experienced significant trauma. While it can be a powerful tool for processing past pain, shadow work benefits everyone. We all carry repressed emotions, conditioned beliefs, and disowned traits, regardless of our life experiences. Shadow work isn't about comparing struggles. It's about becoming whole. Myth 3. You need professional guidance for shadow work. While therapists and spiritual mentors can offer invaluable support, shadow work is ultimately a personal journey. Many aspects of the practice, such as journaling, mindfulness, and self-reflection, can be done independently. The key is to approach the process with honesty, curiosity, and self-compassion. If you encounter emotions or memories that feel overwhelming, seeking professional help is wise, but it's not a prerequisite to begin. Myth 4. Shadow work is a quick fix. Some people view shadow work as a one-time solution to emotional or spiritual challenges. In reality, shadow work is a lifelong practice. Just as we continue to grow and evolve, new aspects of our shadow may emerge over time. The goal isn't perfection, but a deeper and more compassionate relationship with yourself. Myth 5. Focusing on shadows will make you negative. A fear many people have is that exploring hidden parts of themselves will make them more negative or unhappy. On the contrary, shadow work helps you process and release negativity that's already affecting you unconsciously. By facing your shadow, you reduce its influence on your life, creating space for positivity and growth. Addressing these myths clears the way for a more open and empowered approach to shadow work. Now that we've dismantled some common misconceptions, let's conclude by exploring how shadow work can lead to lasting spiritual transformation. At its core, shadow work is a spiritual journey, a path to rediscovering your true essence and aligning with your higher self. By embracing the parts of yourself that you've hidden or rejected, you create a profound sense of inner harmony, which naturally extends to your relationships, purpose, and connection to the world. One of the most transformative aspects of shadow work is the realization that every part of you has value. The traits or emotions you once deemed negative are often sources of incredible strength and wisdom when acknowledged and integrated. For example, your suppressed anger might reveal a deep passion for justice, or your disowned vulnerability might unlock deeper empathy and connection with others. This process also deepens your spiritual practice. Many spiritual traditions emphasize the importance of unity, both within yourself and with the universe. Shadow work helps you embody this unity by bridging the gap between your conscious and unconscious mind. As you integrate your shadow, you become more present, more authentic, and more connected to your inner being. The transformation doesn't stop there. By embracing your shadow, you unlock your potential to live a life of greater purpose and alignment. You begin to make decisions that reflect your true values, rather than reacting from fear or unresolved emotions. You start to see challenges as opportunities for growth and relationships as mirrors for deeper self-understanding. In essence, shadow work is a practice of self-love and self-empowerment. It's an invitation to meet yourself fully, light and shadow alike, and to embrace the wholeness that has always been within you. This wholeness is the foundation of spiritual transformation, guiding you toward a life of peace, authenticity, and connection. Are you ready to step into your fullest self? The journey begins with a single courageous step: looking within.